Your doctor told you to count carbs, watch your portions, take your medication on time, every time, and you did. You did all of it. So explain to me why your fasting glucose is still climbing, why your A1C crept up 0.5 point last quarter, why you're eating less than you ever have, and the numbers keep getting worse. Here's what they didn't tell you, and honestly, this one took me a while to understand myself. The problem isn't how many carbs you eat. It's not even which carbs you eat. The problem is how fast those carbs reach your bloodstream, the speed, the velocity of sugar hitting your blood after a meal. That's where the damage happens. And there is one seed, one tiny ancient seed, smaller than a grain of rice, that physically blocks sugar absorption before it ever enters your blood, not with a drug, not with a chemical compound, not with some expensive extract, with a gel that forms inside your digestive tract and literally slows everything down. I'm going to show you exactly how it works. The clinical trials, the mechanism, the mistakes that cancel the benefit, all of it. Stick with me through this entire video because the number one benefit of this seed, the one I saved for last, is something I genuinely believe every endocrinologist in America should be discussing with their patients, but they're not. And I'll explain exactly why that silence is costing you. Now, before I get into the ranked benefits, most important to most life-changing, I need you to understand something first, because I don't want you to hear seed and think this is some health food store gimmick. This isn't a supplement, it's not a pill. And it's not some exotic extract shipped from a country you've never heard of with a label you can't pronounce. This is a food, a real food. It costs roughly $3 a bag at any grocery store in America. It's been eaten for over 5,000 years. The Aztecs, and look, I don't usually go into history, that's not my thing, but the Aztecs called this their running food. Warriors carried it into battle. A single tablespoon mixed with water sustained their energy for hours. No blood sugar spike, no crash. Modern clinical research from universities in Toronto, Chile, and Kuwait has confirmed exactly why. But here's what genuinely frustrates me. The supplement industry makes billions with a B, selling you pills your body absorbs at 30% efficiency, sometimes less, 30%. That means 70 cents of every dollar you spend on those supplements passes right through you, literally flushed. And the companies know this. They've always known it. This seed your body absorbs at close to full capacity because it's food. Your digestive system evolved to process food, not isolated compounds pressed into tablets. And it doesn't deliver one nutrient. It delivers 7 different mechanisms, all working simultaneously against high blood sugar. 7. From one seed. If you believe that kind of information should be free, not locked behind a prescription pad or a $30 supplement bottle, drop a comment right now. I deserve all the truth. The only people who won't comment are the ones profiting from your confusion. Because what I'm about to share makes their entire business model real uncomfortable. And hey, subscribe if you haven't already. The videos I make are specifically for people over 60 who are tired of being sold to. I'm not selling supplements, I'm showing you what the research actually says. Hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. Quick note, even though I present medical research in this video, I am not your personal physician. Please talk to your doctor before making any changes to your diet or medication. Every peer-reviewed study cited in this video is linked in the description. Trackable, verifiable. I don't make claims I can't back up. Before the ranked list, we need to clear something up because there is a lot of wrong information floating around about this seed, Instagram, TikTok, even some doctor channels. Go in with the wrong expectations and you'll miss the real benefit entirely. So let me kill 3 myths right now. Myth 1, this seed will cure your diabetes. No, full stop. That's not what the research says, not even close. Anyone using the word cure next to a food is either lying to you, hasn't read the actual studies, or is trying to sell you something. What the research shows is that this seed can meaningfully reduce postprandial glucose spikes, the spike that happens after you eat, through a physical mechanism, not a pharmaceutical one. It slows absorption. It doesn't eliminate the disease. It's a tool, a very powerful tool that works alongside your medication, alongside your diet, alongside everything else you're already doing. But a tool. Myth 2. You need to eat a huge amount for it to work. Also wrong, and this one comes from the wellness community of all places. People telling you to eat half a cup a day, making these giant chia pudding bowls that look like, I don't even know what they look like. You don't need all that. Clinical trials used doses as small as 7 grams, roughly 1 teaspoon, and still measured significant reductions in blood sugar after meals. The 2013 dose-response trial by Ho and colleagues tested 7, 15, and 24 grams. All 3 doses showed reductions. You don't need to eat a cup of this stuff and feel like you swallowed a sponge. A tablespoon or 2, used correctly, and I'll tell you exactly how at the end, is enough to change what happens inside your gut after a meal. Myth 3, seeds don't matter. Just take your metformin. This one makes me angry. I'm being honest. It makes me angry. I have enormous respect for metformin. That's one of the most studied, most reliable diabetes medications in existence. I'm not here to argue against your medication, not even a little bit. But metformin works primarily by reducing glucose production in the liver, hepatic gluconeogenesis. That's its target. It does almost nothing to slow the absorption of sugar from food as it passes through your small intestine. That is a completely different mechanism, a completely different stage of the process. And that's exactly where the seed steps in. It fills a gap your medication was never designed to address. So, what is this seed? It's chia, Salvia hispanica, a tiny black and white seed from the mint family, actually related to lavender and rosemary, which makes it kind of interesting that the Aztecs called it the running food. And this isn't a wellness trend that showed up last Tuesday. The clinical evidence behind chia and blood sugar is deep, specific, and growing every single year. Let me show you what it does inside your body. 7 benefits, ranked from important to life-changing. And the number 1 benefit, I'll be honest, it's the one that changed how I think about blood sugar management entirely. Worst to best. Let's go. Benefit 7, omega-3. Fatty acid delivery. I know what you're thinking. Omega-3s? That's a blood sugar benefit? I thought those were for your heart. And honestly, I almost didn't include this one. I went back and forth. But here's why it matters more than you realize, especially after 60. Chia seeds are one of the richest plant sources of alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, the plant form of omega-3. 1 ounce, about 2 tablespoons, gives you roughly 5 grams of ALA. That's more than most fish oil supplements deliver in an entire day. And you're getting it from food, not a capsule that tastes like fish for the next 3 hours. Here's where it connects to blood sugar. This is the part most people miss. Chronic inflammation, the low-grade kind that builds up silently over decades, the kind you can't feel, is one of the primary drivers of insulin resistance. Your cells don't stop responding to insulin for no reason. They stop responding because inflammatory signals, cytokines specifically, are jamming the communication between insulin and your cell receptors. Imagine trying to make a phone call in a thunderstorm. The signal is there. Your phone is working. The tower is working. But the interference won't let the message through. That's what inflammation does to insulin signaling. The insulin is there. The receptors are there. But the noise is so loud the signal gets lost. ALA from chia has been shown in multiple studies to reduce inflammatory markers. C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, TNF-alpha. Not dramatically overnight, nobody's claiming that, but steadily, consistently, over weeks and months, it quiets the interference, so insulin signals can actually reach your cells and do their job. Is this the most powerful benefit of chia? No, that's why it's number 7. Think of it as the foundation, the thing that makes everything else on this list work better, because if your body is chronically inflamed, nothing works as well as it should. Not metformin, not dietary changes, not exercise. Inflammation is the sand in the gears. And here's what's important. Your body cannot make omega-3 fatty acids on its own. It doesn't have the enzyme pathway. You have to get them from food, period. If you're not eating fatty fish 3 times a week, and let's be real, most people over 60 aren't, you're probably deficient. And if you're deficient in omega-3s, your insulin resistance has one more factor working against it that you didn't even know about. 2 tablespoons of chia, 5 grams of ALA. 12 cents a day. That's your anti-inflammatory foundation. Now let me show you what builds on top of it. Benefit? 6, complete protein with all essential amino acids. This one surprises people, because most folks think of chia as a fiber food, the little seeds you put in water and they turn into goop. But chia seeds contain between 15 and 25% protein by weight. And unlike most plant proteins, unlike beans, rice, or wheat, chia provides all 9 essential amino acids, the complete set. That is genuinely rare for any plant food. Why does that matter for blood sugar? Because muscle is your #1 glucose disposal system. I need you to hear that. Your skeletal muscle is the single largest tissue in your body that absorbs glucose from your bloodstream. When you eat carbohydrates and insulin signals your body to clear that glucose out of the blood, where does most of it go? Your muscles. 70 to 80% of glucose disposal after a meal happens in skeletal muscle. But after 60, you're losing muscle, 3 to 8% per decade. It's called sarcopenia. And every pound of muscle you lose means less capacity to pull glucose out of your bloodstream, less tissue, fewer receptors, less absorption. So your blood sugar rises, not because you ate more carbs, not because your medication stopped working, but because you have fewer places to put the glucose. Your parking lot got smaller, the same number of cars keep showing up. This is one of the most underdiagnosed reasons for worsening blood sugar in people over 60. Doctors look at the glucose number. They look at the A1C. They adjust the medication, but they almost never measure your muscle mass. They almost never say your blood sugar is rising because you've lost 7 pounds of muscle since your last scan. That conversation almost never happens. Chia protein supports muscle maintenance. Akash, I want to be clear. It's not going to replace a chicken breast or a steak. That's not what I'm suggesting. But when you're eating it daily, especially combined with the other mechanisms I'm about to show you, it contributes to preserving the very tissue that keeps your blood sugar in check. And here's the part most people miss entirely. When you eat chia with a carbohydrate-heavy meal, the protein content helps slow gastric emptying all on its own. Protein takes far longer to digest than simple carbs, so the sugar from that meal enters your bloodstream more gradually, not in a rush, in a trickle. The protein is doing double duty, protecting your muscles and simultaneously slowing the glucose spike from whatever you just ate. Honestly, that's elegant. Nature doing something pretty smart. Benefit 5. Antioxidant protection for your pancreas. Stop for a second. Notice what the last 2 sections covered. Omega-3s reduce the inflammatory interference blocking your insulin. Protein preserves the muscle tissue that absorbs your glucose. Those are both support systems. They set the stage. Benefit 5 goes after the source, the organ that makes insulin in the first place. Your pancreas is a small organ, about 6 inches long, tucked behind your stomach near your spine. Most people never think about it until something goes wrong, and it has one critical job that determines everything about your blood sugar management. Producing insulin through specialized cells called beta cells. After 60, those beta cells are under constant attack. The attack comes from oxidative stress, free radicals. There's a reactive oxygen species, what scientists call ROS, unstable molecules bouncing around inside your cells, damaging everything they touch. They damage the proteins inside your beta cells, the membranes, the DNA. And over years of accumulated damage, your pancreas produces less and less insulin, not because it's lazy, because the cellular machinery is physically breaking down. The factory equipment is corroding. Here's where chia comes in. Chia seeds contain a cocktail of polyphenolic antioxidants: chlorogenic acid, caffeic acid, myricidin, quercetin, kaempferol. Those names probably don't mean much to you, but what they do is neutralize free radicals before they reach your beta cells. They intercept the vandals before they reach the factory. Think of your pancreas as a factory. Oxidative stress is rust. The rust builds up on the machinery year after year. Antioxidants are rust-proofing. They don't rebuild machinery that's already damaged, but they slow the rusting on the machinery you still have. Does this mean chia seeds will regenerate your pancreas? No. That would be dishonest to claim. Once beta cells are destroyed, they don't come back easily. And the science is clear on that. But can chia help protect the beta cells you still have? The ones still working, still producing insulin, still fighting for you? The research strongly suggests yes. Quercetin specifically has received the most research attention in diabetic contexts. It's been shown to prevent the oxidation of fats, proteins, and DNA simultaneously. 3 layers of cellular protection from a single compound that occurs naturally in this one seed. And here's where the math stops making sense. You can buy quercetin as an isolated supplement, $20, $30 a bottle. Or you can eat 2 tablespoons of chia seeds that cost about 12 cents and get quercetin plus chlorogenic acid plus caffeic acid plus myricetin plus camphorol, all working together in the ratios nature designed them to work in. Your body recognizes food differently than it recognizes pills. The absorption pathways, the synergy between compounds, it is fundamentally not the same thing. The people selling you the $30 bottle know that. Benefit 4, postprandial glucose reduction, the clinical evidence. Now we're into the hard science. Peer-reviewed, double-blind, published in major journals, science, and this is the benefit most people come to chia for. Ardensana, even though, and this might surprise you, it's only number 4 on my list. Stay with me. You'll understand why when you see number 1. Let me walk you through the research because I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to see the data yourself. Researchers at the University of Toronto, led by Dr. Vladimir Vuksan, one of the world's leading authorities on dietary fiber and glycemic response, publishing in this field for over 20 years, ran multiple clinical trials on what chia does to blood sugar after a meal. Postprandial glycemia, the spike that happens within 1 to 2 hours after you eat. In a 2010 randomized controlled trial published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Vuksan's team found that whole grain chia significantly reduced the postprandial glucose excursion compared to control. And the mechanism they identified wasn't about blocking enzymes or stimulating insulin, it was about the mucilage, that gel-like coating that forms around the seed when it contacts liquid, physically slowing the rate at which sugar moved from the gut into the bloodstream. Physical, not chemical. Physical. They didn't stop there. A 2013 follow-up dose-response trial by Ho and colleagues, same journal, tested 7 grams, 15 grams, and 24 grams of chia, both whole and ground, in healthy volunteers. All 3 doses reduced postprandial blood glucose. And here's the key word, dose-dependent. The more chia, the greater the reduction. Linear, predictable, measurable. That's what you want to see in clinical data. Then a 2020 study out of Spain used something called the SIM system, a dynamic gastrointestinal simulation, an artificial gut, a machine designed to replicate what actually happens inside your digestive tract, stomach acid, intestinal enzymes, absorption rates, transit time, not a petri dish, not a test tube, a system that mimics the whole process. They added chia mucilage to the system and measured glucose absorption. The result, up to a 50% reduction in glucose bioaccessibility at the intestinal level. 50%. And the glucose dialysis retardation index, how much the mucilage delayed sugar from passing through the intestinal barrier, peaked at over 53% by the end of small intestine digestion. Now, and I'm going to be honest with you here, because honesty matters more to me than hype. A 2020 meta-analysis reviewed 8 randomized controlled trials involving 362 participants and found that chia seeds did not significantly reduce fasting blood glucose or HbA1c when the data was pooled together. That's an important finding. I'm not hiding it. It tells us chia seeds are not a fasting glucose drug. They're not going to magically lower your morning number. They're not going to replace your metformin. Anyone telling you that is lying. But, and this is the distinction most people miss, chia targets the postprandial spike, the after-meal spike. And if you're over 60 dealing with type 2 or prediabetes, those postprandial spikes are where the silent damage accumulates. Every spike is a wave of excess sugar crashing against your blood vessel walls, against the tiny capillaries feeding your kidneys, against the nerve endings in your feet and hands. Chia doesn't stop the river, it slows it to a stream. Over months and years, that difference between a river and a stream is the difference between complications and control. Benefit 3. Blood pressure reduction in diabetic patients. I know some of you are thinking, wait, this is a video about blood sugar. Why are we talking about blood pressure? And if you're thinking that, you're making the same mistake a lot of doctors make. Because blood sugar and blood pressure are not separate problems. They are the same problem expressing itself through two different systems. A 2021 randomized controlled trial by Alwis and colleagues, I'll link the exact study below, took 42 adults with confirmed type 2 diabetes and split them into two groups. One group added 40 grams of chia per day to their normal diet for 12 weeks. The other group changed nothing. Same medications, same lifestyle. Just chia. The chia group showed a statistically significant reduction in systolic blood pressure compared to control. Systolic, the top number, the one that matters most for stroke risk, the one your cardiologist watches like a hawk. And these were people already on diabetes medication, already being managed. The chia reduced their blood pressure on top of everything else they were doing. Here's the connection you need to understand, the one that ties this whole video together. When blood pressure is chronically elevated, even moderately, even just a little high, it damages the small blood vessels feeding your kidneys. And your kidneys are not just a waste filter. They actively regulate blood sugar through something called renal glucose reabsorption. Damaged kidneys mean worse blood sugar control, and worse blood sugar means more damage to blood vessels, which raises blood pressure further, which damages the kidneys more. You see the loop. High blood sugar damages blood vessels. Damaged vessels raise blood pressure. High blood pressure damages kidneys. Damaged kidneys worsen blood sugar, round and round, year after year, getting a little worse each time. Most people don't feel it happening until something breaks. Chia interrupts that cycle at multiple points simultaneously. The fiber slows sugar absorption, reducing the glucose spikes that damage vessels. The omega-3s reduce inflammation in blood vessel walls, protecting their integrity. The potassium and magnesium naturally present in chia support vascular relaxation, meaning they help your blood vessels stay flexible instead of stiff. Not one angle, several directions at once. And the 2017 Vuxan trial, 77 patients, double-blind, randomized, 6 months, published in Nutrition, Metabolism, and Cardiovascular Diseases, found the chia group had a 39% reduction in C-reactive protein, CRP, the gold standard marker for systemic inflammation. 39%. Let me put that in context. A 39% reduction in CRP over 6 months, not from a statin, not from a biologic injection, not from a new pharmaceutical compound, from a seed that costs $3 a bag. That data exists. It's published, it's peer-reviewed, and the number of times I've heard an endocrinologist bring it up with their patients, 0, literally 0. Benefit 2, the mucilage gel. A physical barrier against sugar absorption. This is the mechanism that makes chia genuinely unique. Not unique among seeds, not unique among health foods, unique among every food on this planet. When chia seeds contact any liquid, water, saliva, stomach acid, intestinal fluid, it doesn't matter. The outer coating hydrates and expands into a viscous gel called mucilage. And this isn't a thin film. This gel can absorb up to 27 times the seed's own weight in water. 27 times. If you weigh 150 pounds, imagine absorbing 4,000 pounds of water. That's the proportional equivalent. Now picture that gel forming inside your small intestine, right at the exact location where sugar gets absorbed into your bloodstream. Right at the gut wall where glucose molecules pass through into your blood. What happens is the gel creates a physical diffusion barrier, a wall of viscous material. The sugar molecules from your meal, the glucose, the fructose, whatever carbohydrate you just ate, they have to pass through this thick gel-like layer before they can reach the intestinal wall and get absorbed. And that takes time, a lot more time than it would without the gel present. Visualize it this way. Imagine walking across an empty room. Takes you 5 seconds. Now imagine that room is filled waist-deep with thick mud. You'll still get to the other side. Nobody's stopping you. But instead of 5 seconds, it takes you 2 minutes. That's what chia mucilage does to glucose in your gut. The sugar still gets absorbed. That's how your body works. But it gets absorbed slowly, gradually, in a manageable stream instead of a sudden flood. This is fundamentally different from how pharmaceutical approaches work. Drugs like acarbose, which doctors prescribe specifically for postprandial spikes, inhibit the enzymes that break starch into sugar. They block the chemical breakdown. Chia doesn't do that at all. Chia slows the absorption after the breakdown has already happened. They work at completely different stages of the digestive process, which means they can potentially work together. They're not competing, they're complementary. As one stops the knife from cutting, the other catches what falls through. A 2025 study from the University of Chile investigated chia mucilage's effect on intestinal glucose absorption using CACO2 intestinal epithelial cells, the cells that line your small intestine. The researchers found that chia mucilage significantly reduced glucose dialysability, the measure of how much glucose actually passes through the intestinal barrier. They even found effects on alpha amylase activity, the enzyme that breaks starch down in the first place. So it's affecting multiple stages, not just one. And in a 2023 randomized double-blind crossover study, researchers baked chia seeds into cookies at 3 grams, 5 grams, and 7 grams, then tested them against control cookies with no chia. The cookies with 7 grams of chia reduced postprandial glucose by approximately 30% compared to control. 30%. From a cookie that had chia seeds baked into it. This is not theoretical. This is a measurable, reproducible physical mechanism that occurs every single time you eat chia seeds with a meal. Every time. Because physics doesn't take days off. No prescription required. No side effects like the bloating and cramping acarbose commonly causes. No monthly refills. No copay. 12 cents a serving. Benefit 1. Sustained glycemic control through multi-mechanism synergy. Here it is. The reason I made this video. The reason I genuinely, not as a talking point, genuinely believe endocrinologists should be discussing this with their patients. Every other food or supplement that affects blood sugar works through one mechanism, one pathway, one angle of attack. Berberine activates AMPK. Cinnamon improves insulin receptor sensitivity. Chromium supports glucose transport into cells. Alpha lipoic acid scavenges free radicals. One thing, one mechanism. Chia seeds work through at least 5 simultaneous mechanisms, at the same time, in the same serving, from the same tablespoon. Let me lay them out. 1. The mucilage gel physically slows glucose absorption through the intestinal wall. We covered that. It's physics. 2. Soluble fiber delays gastric emptying. Food leaves your stomach more slowly, which means carbohydrates are released into the small intestine more gradually, less rush, less spike. 3. The protein content triggers satiety hormones, peptide, YY, glucagon-like peptide 1. That reduce your overall food intake. You eat less without thinking about it, without willpower, without counting anything. The hormones just do their job. 4. The omega-3 fatty acids reduce the chronic low-grade inflammation driving insulin resistance at the cellular level. The anti-inflammatory foundation we talked about. And 5, this is the one that stopped me cold when I first read it. The fermentation of chia seed fiber in your large intestine produces short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate. And butyrate stimulates the release of GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1. Let me tell you why those 3 letters matter. GLP-1 is the exact same hormone pathway that Ozempic targets. Semaglutide, the drug name for Ozempic, is a GLP-1 receptor agonist. It mimics GLP-1, and it costs, what? $1,000 a month. $1,200 more. The fermentation of chia seed fiber in your gut produces natural GLP-1 through the exact same biological pathway for $3 a bag. Now stop. I need to be responsible here. Is 2 tablespoons of chia going to produce the same GLP-1 response as a weekly Ozempic injection? No, absolutely not. Not even close. That would be irresponsible to claim, and I'm not claiming it. The dose-response relationship between food-derived butyrate and injectable semaglutide is not comparable in magnitude. I want to be crystal clear about that. But the fact that the same biological pathway is being activated, that the same hormone is being stimulated by a food that has been eaten for 5,000 years that costs $3 a bag, that sits on the shelf at every grocery store in America, and your endocrinologist has never mentioned it. I need you to sit with that for a second. It's not that chia seeds are being suppressed. This isn't a conspiracy. There's no shadowy board meeting where doctors vote to hide chia seeds. It's something simpler than that. And honestly, sadder. Doctors have 12 minutes per appointment. 12 minutes to review your labs, check your feet, adjust your medication, answer your questions, and document everything for legal compliance. They don't have time, literally do not have the minutes, to explain the biochemistry of mucilage gel formation, short-chain fatty acid fermentation, and GLP-1 pathways from dietary fiber. It's faster to adjust a dose, write a script, move to the next patient. The system doesn't reward education, it rewards throughput, but you have time right now. Okay, you've been here for over 35 minutes, and you deserve to know that a food exists. A real whole food, not a supplement, not a pharmaceutical, not a trend, that addresses 5 of the mechanisms driving your blood sugar higher every single day. That's why it's number 1. Now stop. Stop right here. Before you go out and buy a 5-pound bag of chia seeds tomorrow and dump them into everything you eat. There are things that cancel the benefit, things most wellness websites, Instagram posts, and TikTok health coaches will never warn you about. And if you get these wrong, you could actually make your situation worse. Not better. Worse. I need you to hear all 4. Mistake 1, eating chia seeds dry. This is the big one. This is the one that ends up in emergency room reports. And yeah, of course that sounds dramatic, but it's happened. Chia seeds need liquid to form the gel. That's the whole point. The mucilage, the barrier I just spent 10 minutes explaining, only activates when the seed contacts water. Eat them dry. Just toss them in your mouth like sunflower seeds. And 2 things happen. First, you get no mucilage benefit whatsoever. No gel forms, no barrier, no glucose slowing. Second, dry chia seeds absorb moisture from your digestive tract. They swell inside your esophagus, inside your stomach. And in rare cases, this has caused blockages that required medical intervention. Always soak them. Even 5 minutes in a glass of water starts the gel formation. Stir once, let them sit, drink the whole thing, always with liquid, always. Mistake 2, taking chia at the same time as blood-thinning medication. And chia has a mild blood-thinning effect due to the omega-3 content. That's generally a benefit for cardiovascular health. But if you're on warfarin, Coumadin, aspirin therapy, clopidogrel, or any other anticoagulant, this matters a lot. I'm not saying you can't eat chia seeds. I'm not saying they're dangerous. I'm saying you need to tell your doctor you're adding them to your diet so they can monitor your INR levels, your blood clotting test. The omega-3 from chia combined with your anticoagulant medication could push your blood too thin. Too thin means bruising, bleeding, or in serious cases, hemorrhage. This is a drug-nutrient interaction. Tell your doctor. Let them adjust if needed. Mistake 3, combining chia with high-sugar beverages. I have seen, and I wish I was exaggerating, people making chia fresca with mango juice, grape juice, apple juice that contains 40 grams of sugar per cup. 40 grams, that's 10 teaspoons of sugar. You're creating the mucilage gel inside a sugar bomb. The gel will slow absorption somewhat, yes, but you're still flooding your system with more glucose than your body can handle in one sitting. It's like putting a speed bump on a highway and then driving a truck full of dynamite over it. The speed bump helped a little. The truck still exploded. Use water. Use unsweetened almond milk. Plain coconut water if you want a little flavor. Not juice, not soda, not those fruit smoothies from the grocery store with 35 grams of added sugar hiding on the label. Read the label. Mistake 4. Expecting results without consistency. This one is subtle, but it kills more progress than any of the others. The clinical trials that showed meaningful benefits ran for a minimum of 12 weeks. The Vuxan diabetes trial, 6 months. 6 months of daily consumption. That's how the body responds to dietary changes. Slowly, gradually, cumulatively. 1 tablespoon of chia seeds on a random Tuesday is not going to change your blood sugar profile. It just isn't. This is a daily practice, like brushing your teeth. You don't brush once and call it done for the month. The benefit comes from repetition, consistency, doing it today and again tomorrow, and the day after that, every day for months. That's when you'll see it in your labs. Here's your action plan, simple. No overwhelm. 5 steps. Start today. Step 1. Go to any grocery store, Walmart, Costco, Trader Joe's, your local market. Buy a bag of chia seeds. but health food aisle or near baking supplies. Organic if you can find it, but regular is fine. Black chia or white chia. Genuinely doesn't matter. The nutritional profile is virtually identical. $3 to $6. That bag lasts 3 to 4 weeks. Step 2. Start with 1 tablespoon per day. Put it in a glass. Add 6 to 8 ounces of water. Stir. Wait 10 minutes. Watch the gel form. The water gets thick, almost like thin pudding. Drink the whole thing about 15 to 20 minutes before your largest meal. That's it. That's week 1. Don't overthink it. Step 3. By week 2, if you're tolerating it well, no digestive discomfort, no bloating, move to 2 tablespoons per day. Split them. 1 tablespoon soaked in water before your biggest meal. 1 tablespoon mixed into breakfast, stirred into oatmeal. Blend it into a smoothie, fold it into plain yogurt, always with liquid, never dry. Step 4. After 30 days of consistent daily use, ask your doctor to check your postprandial glucose at your next appointment, not fasting. Postprandial, 2 hours after a standardized meal. That's where you'll see the change first. Your fasting number might not budge much. That's normal. That's what the meta-analysis showed. But your post-meal spike, that's where chia does its work. Ask for that specific test. Step 5. Track how you feel. Get a notebook. Nothing fancy. Write down 3 things every day. Your energy level after meals on a scale of 1 to 10. Your cravings between meals, better, same, or worse. And if you check your own blood sugar, your 2-hour post-meal reading. Do this for 30 days. Because the data you collect on your own body from your own experience is worth more than any study I can show you on a screen. You are the study, you are the trial. N equals 1, and your results are the only ones that matter. 1 change, 1 seed, 12 cents a day, and you're addressing 5 mechanisms of blood sugar dysfunction simultaneously. Without a new prescription, without a new supplement regimen, without fear. That's what control looks like. Now, one more thing before you go. And this is important. If this video covered what happens to your blood sugar during the day, the question you should be asking right now is, what happens at night? Because for most people over 60, the nighttime hours are when the real damage happens. Or while you're asleep, while you think everything is fine, your liver starts dumping glucose into your bloodstream around 2 in the morning. It's called the dawn phenomenon. Cortisol rises in the hours before you wake up. And everything you did right during the day, every good meal, every tablespoon of chia, every healthy choice, gets partially undone while you're lying there unconscious. That's exactly why I created the midnight insulin trap. It covers what changes in your body after 60, why your morning fasting numbers are stubbornly high even when you ate perfectly the night before, and how to build a simple nighttime system, food, timing, meal structure, what to eat and when. A 7-day reset you can start tonight. The link is below this video. I genuinely think it'll answer questions your doctor doesn't have time to explain. Not because they don't care, because the system gives them 12 minutes, and this takes more than 12 minutes to get right. Now, I want to hear from you. Which benefit surprised you most? Was it the GLP-1 connection, the Ozempic pathway, the mucilage gel, the pancreatic protection, something else entirely? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And honestly, your comments are what help me decide what to cover next.